Trick Williams returns on this week's edition of NXT Halloween Havoc Week 2, but do we find out who attacked him backstage at NXT several weeks ago? Details on that, plus Vince McMahon's status for WWE Crown Jewel has been revealed. Wes Lee makes his return to NXT programming, seemingly setting up a potential match for the North American Championship against Dominic Mysterio. Von Wagner makes his return to NXT TV, attacking Bron Breakker. Lola Vice wins the Women's Breakout tournament on NXT. The Women's Tag Team titles are successfully defended. The Creed brothers win what could be their final match in NXT before heading to the main roster. A three-way match is announced for this week's edition of AEW Rampage. The live gate for WWE Fastlane is revealed, and it's very impressive. We'll let you know why. And a Women's World Title match is announced for tonight's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about last night's edition of NXT Halloween Havoc Night 2. And Trick Williams made his return to NXT television and effectively cost Carmelo Hayes the NXT Championship. The main event of last night's show was the third match in the trilogy between Hayes and Ilja Dragunov, with Dragunov's title on the line. At the conclusion of the match, Hayes looked to have Dragunov set up for his nothing but net diving leg drop finishing move. However, while Hayes was on the ropes getting ready to land the leg drop, Trick Williams' music played and he came out onto the ramp staring intensely at Hayes. This caused Hayes to be distracted and allowed Dragunov to land the Torpedo Moscow to retain his title. After the match was over, Williams got into the ring and seemingly confronted Hayes, but before they could say anything to each other, the show cut to backstage where Dragunov was being attacked by Baron Corbin and then went off the air. And the storyline is that Williams was supposed to be part of a four-way number one contender match for a shot at the NXT Championship a couple of weeks ago, but was ambushed by a mystery attacker backstage and had to be pulled from the match, making it a three-way between Hayes, Corbin, and Dijak. Hayes went on to win the three-way, and as many fans guess as for who attacked Trick Williams to have him removed from the bout. So, who do you think is the person responsible for attacking Trick Williams? Do you think it was Carmelo Hayes, or is this a red herring? Is this a swerve? Let me know your thoughts, predictions about that in the comment section below. A lot of people talking about Vince McMahon after he was present in Saudi Arabia last weekend for the Tyson Fury-Francis Ngannou's fight. Of course, WWE is heading back to Saudi Arabia for the 5th annual Crown Jewel event on Saturday, November 4. While many WWE stars were heading off to the country this week, Executive Chairman of the Board of TKO, Vince McMahon, was seen out in Saudi Arabia over the weekend alongside The Undertaker. The duo was spotted at the Tyson Fury vs. Francis Ngannou boxing event, but some fans wondered if McMahon would be sticking around for WWE's show this Saturday. Per Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Vince McMahon and The Undertaker have returned home after being at the Fury vs. Ngannou fight. The report notes that if the duo were planning on attending Crown Jewel, they would have to make a second trip. WWE Crown Jewel 2023 will be headlined by Roman Reigns, defending the undisputed WWE Universal Championship against LA Knight. Also, Drew McIntyre will challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Cody Rhodes will face off against Damian Priest. So, still no word on if exactly Vince McMahon is going to be there, but if indeed he is, he's going to have to make a second trip. Now, Wes Lee is back on NXT television. The second match that took place during NXT Halloween Havoc Night 2 saw Dominic Mysterio retain the NXT North American Championship over Nathan Frazer. However, the story didn't end there, as there was a big return after the match. Making a comeback to attack Mysterio was Wes Lee, who hasn't been seen on NXT TV since September 12. Lee seemingly walked out of NXT that night after losing an NXT Championship number one contender match to Ilja Dragunov. Lee made his return last night, and after throwing Mysterio out of the ring, made it clear he wants a shot at the NXT North American Championship. Mysterio defeated Wes Lee for the title on July 18, and before that point, Lee had become the longest reigning North American champion of all time, and also the one with the most title defenses. Now, Lee was actually in action on the Monday pre-Raw taping for Main Event, where he faced Akira Tozawa, but it looks like he's going to be sticking around on NXT TV for just a little more time. Now, he wasn't the only return last night. Von Wagner is back on NXT television as well. Back on September 5th, there was a memorable angle on NXT television as Bron Breakker crushed Von Wagner's head with the ringside steel steps. This played into Wagner's real-life story of head surgery since he was a child and led to an on-screen storyline playing out for a number of weeks with pre-recorded videos showing his steps to recovery. Last night, his manager, Mr. Stone, stepped up for a match against Breakker looking for revenge, and despite Stone getting in a couple of bright underpants underdog moments, it did end up being an easy victory for Breakker as expected. However, things continued after the match, and Breakker attempted to do the same thing to Stone he did to Wagner as he got ready to crush his head with the steel steps. However, before he could do so, out came a returning Wagner, appearing in front of the crowd for the first time since the initial Breakker attack almost 2 months ago. Wagner saved Stone and then tried to turn the tables on Breakker and crush Breakker's head with the steps, but Breakker managed to escape. A match between Wagner and Breakker was later made official for next week's episode of NXT, so that match is going to take place then. We also have a winner of the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament. It's Lola Vice. Lola Vice defeated Kalani Jordan to become the 2023 NXT Women's Breakout Tournament winner. The finals of the tournament took place on Tuesday, October 31st during the second part of NXT Halloween Havoc. Vice won the tournament finals after she hit a huge kick to Jordan's head for the pinfall. In order to get to the finals, Vice had to defeat Carmen Petrovic in the semifinals. Before that, she defeated Danny Palmer. Before signing with WWE in June of 2022, Vice was an MMA fighter where she competed in Bellator. When she signed with the promotion, Vice shared on social media how she was the first Cuban-American woman in history to sign with the company. Vice made her in-ring debut on November 12, 2022 during a non-televised NXT event. Last year's NXT Women's Breakout Tournament winner was former NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. Her last televised match took place during the first part of Halloween Havoc, where she defeated Kiana James in a Devil's Playground match. Of course, the NXT Men's Breakout Tournament is set to commence after the conclusion of this tournament, so that could be taking place in the next few weeks. Now, the WWE Women's Tag Team titles were defended successfully last night on NXT as well. Chase University won't be holding all the tag team gold in NXT as the reigning Women's Tag Team Champions Piper Niven and Chelsea Green defeated Thea Hale and JC Jane during night 2 of Halloween Havoc. Earlier on in the night, in a backstage segment, Jane was seen talking to Andre Chase. She told him he should scratch her back since she attempted to help him and Duke Hudson in the victory last Tuesday when they captured the NXT Tag Team Championships from the D'Angelo family. Though Chase told Jane he wouldn't be helping her cheat, he and Hudson accompanied Jane and Hale to the ring after the woman got the jump on the champions while still on the ramp. Hale and Jane threw Niven into the ring steps just after the match started in an attempt to take her out, and Jane and Green started off the match. After a picture-in-picture break, Green and Jane were battling it out in the middle of the ring when Hudson and Chase started to hype up the crowd. Chase left his championship on the apron of the ring, and Jane crawled to the ropes to attempt to grab it. Chase pulled the belt away from her, and with the distraction, Green was able to capitalize. She hit the Unprettier and got the pin on Jane to retain the tag team titles. After the match, Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn, now known as the Unholy Union, appeared as the champions walked up the ramp. The pair, who at this point of the night took over the hosting duties from Shotzi and Scarlett, made the wheel of on the ramp spin in an attempt to scare them. So that could be a Women's Tag Team Championship feud coming in the future. A lot of people this week are talking about the Creed brothers, of course, after their main roster debut on Raw. After making their Raw debut over Alpha Academy, the Creed brothers were back on NXT last night. On the October 31st Halloween Havoc Night 2 episode of NXT, Brutus and Julius Creed took part in a tables, ladders, and scares match against Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. The match featured several tables and even ladders breaking, and was clearly another great showing for the Creed brothers. In the end, it was Brutus and Julius who scored another victory with another assisted Brutus ball, the same way they defeated Alpha Academy, but this time putting Humberto Carrillo through a table. After the match, they, along with Ivy Nile, who accompanied them on Raw on Monday, celebrated atop a ladder on the entrance ramp. Now, it wasn't clear if this was their farewell to NXT, but they did also get a big entrance through the crowd before the match. For what it's worth, WWE officials were reportedly impressed with their performance on Raw against Otis and Chad Gable, some are viewing it as a swan song for the former NXT Tag Team Champions. Of course, if we get any official information on that, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, a three-way match has been announced for this Friday's episode of AEW Rampage on TNT. As of late, All Elite Wrestling has been fully embracing the Mexican wrestling fan base by showcasing various Lucha Libre stars over the past few weeks on AEW TV. On the October 20 episode of AEW Rampage, Mystico defeated Rocky Romero in a 2 out of 3 Falls match. Now, AEW will be bringing back one of the most popular international stars in the world of wrestling today. On October 31st, AEW President Tony Khan announced that AAA Mega Champion El Hijo del Vikingo will face Penta El Zero Miedo and Commander in a Lucha del de la Muertos match on the November 3rd episode of AEW Rampage. Khan writes, quote, tomorrow on November 1st, live in Louisville, AEW Rampage, it will be Vikingo versus Penta versus Commander. Louisville Lucha Libre lovers celebrate Day of the Dead tomorrow with this crazy three-way fight. See it nationwide Friday on Rampage. The match, of course, will be filmed following the November 1st edition of AEW Dynamite in Louisville, Kentucky. Tonight's show will feature MJF and 3 partners of his choosing versus Bullet Club Gold in an 8-man tag team match main event, and Kenny Omega teaming with Chris Jericho to face off against 2.0. Of course, also it has been revealed that Tony Khan will be making an important announcement. I don't think it's this match, but still, if we get any more information about that prior to tonight's show, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, this is quite an interesting one when it comes to WWE Fastlane, and I guess it just shows a picture of how successful and red hot WWE is right now. Now, WWE continued their red-hot run of record-breaking premium live events in October with Fastlane from Indianapolis, Indiana. The event became the highest-grossing Fastlane event and WWE show to take place in Indianapolis. Per Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, Polestar's new data shows that WWE Fastlane 2023 had a live gate of 1.181 million from over 12,000 tickets sold for the event. The report notes that the show was possibly the highest gate of any arena/non-stadium pro wrestling show in the continental US this year. WWE announced the attendance as 14,584, while WrestleTalk's estimated 13,022 tickets distributed between comps and tickets sold. You can see actually on the screen right now some of the gates and all this kind of stuff of these premium live events, not just for WWE but also AEW this year, and it goes to show again how successful WWE Fastlane was and just again how successful WWE is right now. Finally, speaking of AEW Dynamite tonight on TBS, an AEW Women's World Championship match has been announced for the show. On the October 10 Title Tuesday edition of Dynamite, Hikaru Shida defeated Saraya to become the first ever 3-time AEW Women's World Champion. Since then, Shida has kept up a breakneck schedule of defenses and matches against the likes of Emi Sakura, Ruby Soho, and Abaddon. On October 31st, AEW President Tony Khan announced that Shida will defend the AEW Women's World Championship against Willow Nightingale on this Wednesday's Tonight November 1st edition of Dynamite. This will mark the first bout of the pair on AEW programming despite a previous encounter on the Jericho Cruise. The winner of this bout will move on to defend the title against Timeless Tony Storm on Saturday, November 18 at AEW Full Gear. But there you go, guys. This is the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.